Let's get started with today's session like we always do by invoking the blessings of God and Guru. So we've been talking about the different manifestations of God, the Brahman aspect. Then we spoke about the Paramatma aspect, and then the Bhagavan aspect, the three manifestations of God. And today we'll try to put it all together so that we can look at the differences and the similarities between the three. So we'll try to put it all together and take on questions so that this concept is absolutely clear and does not confuse anymore. I see a new video today. Hugh Jazz. Good. Welcome to the session. Is it your first session? Did I pronounce your name right? Hugh?
Yeah.
How do you pronounce it?
US.
Hugh Jazz. Where are you joining us from?
From America.
America. Oh, welcome to the session. Glad to have you on board. So let's get started. Are you able to see the screen? Great. Okay, we'll do our opening prayers and then we'll get underway. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanuramardhanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Okay, Radha Radha, good morning, good evening again to all of you. So today, in order to conclude this discussion, at least for this series, I picked up a shloka from chapter 12, verse 5, where Arjun, in the previous verse, Arjun has asked this question, we worship form. All right. So Lord Krishna is asking, Arjun had asked this question that we can worship formless and we can worship form. So why don't you tell me which one is a better path with regards to a devotee, right? So that's where Lord Krishna has been talking about both the paths here. And this shloka we'll go a little more into this particular aspect of worship. Yes, Artiji, you had a question? So let's go through this shloka and you're welcome to follow along. Klesho adhiktarastesham avyakta sakta chetasam avyakta hi gatir dukham dehavadbhirvapyate. All right, just one hand today. Radhe Radhe Dineshji.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
क्लेशोदिकतरस्तेषाम् अव्यक्तासक्तचेतसाम् अव्यक्ता हि गतिर्दुःखम् देहवद्भिर्वाप्यते. Radhe Radhe.
Nice, thank you, Radhe Radhe Dineshji. I see few more hands. Yes, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. Klesho adhikatarastesham avyakta shakta chetasam avyakta hi gatir dukkam dehavadbir avapyate. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe, everyone. Kleshodhikarastesham avyaktasaktachetasam avyakta hi gatirdukham dehavadhir vapyate. Sorry. Thank you.
Thank you, Manishi. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Klesho adhiktaristesham avyaktasam katachetasam avyakta hi gatir dukham dehavadbhari vapyate. Radhe Radhe.
Jai Shyamji. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe Riyaji.
क्लेशोऽधिकतरस्तेषाम् अव्यक्तासक्तचेतसाम् अव्यक्ता हि गतिर्दुःखम् देहवद्भिरवाप्यते.
Very
Thank
nice.
you,
Thank
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe everyone. क्लेशोऽधिकतरस्तेषाम् अव्यक्तासक्तचेतसाम् अव्यक्ता हि गतिर्दुःखम् देहवद्भिरवाप्यते. Thank
Very
you.
nice. Thank you, Parnaji. Okay, last three.
हरे हरे क्लेशोऽधिकतरस्तेषाम् अव्यक्तासक्तचेतसाम् अव्यक्ता हि गतिर्दुःखम् देहवद्भिरवाप्यते.
Wonderful. Very nice. Last two. Okay. Are we good? Let's get started then. Okay. So in this one, Lord Krishna is saying, telling Arjun, for those whose minds are attached to the unmanifest. Now, he's tackling that question very clearly. And he says that the path of realization is full of tribulations. Worship of the unmanifest is exceedingly difficult for embodied beings. Okay, so when you look at embodied means we are all embodied. And he's saying it's exceedingly difficult and full of tribulations. Yeah. Let's go a little more deeper into this concept so that we are able to appreciate the differences between unmanifest and manifest worship of that. So this is what going to be a focus of our discussion today, along with the third aspect as well. But today is going to be the putting it all together session where we have spoken about the formless, the Paramatma aspect, and then the personal form of God, and we'll try to put it all together. Okay, we still have people joining in, but all right. So Brahman, this is the formless aspect. We'll compare and contrast it today. So this is Nirgun, which is without qualities. Then Nirvishesh, without attributes, and Nirakar, without form. Now it follows that Brahman does not manifest the quality of grace. Okay, it's a very, very important and a technical point. There is no aspect of grace in this aspect, in the worship of Brahman or the formless. And grace is one of the secret ingredient or the key ingredient, I would say, that is required for us to overcome the energy of God, which is Maya. That's another energy of God, right? That's an inferior energy of God that we are subservient to right now. And for us to conquer that, we need grace. So indirectly, it follows if you do that, and if you have taken grace out of the equation, you really can't conquer God, okay, at that point. And the Gyanis who worship God as Nirgun, Nirvishesh, and Nirakar, they have to rely entirely on self-effort for progress. Okay, only their self-effort, grace aspect is taken off from that equation. Now, on the other hand, the personal form of God is an ocean of compassion and mercy. There are so many names, right? Kripalu, God's name is Deenbandhu, Patit Pavan. All these names are there for God because these qualities manifest in the personal form of God. These qualities are present in God even in impersonal form, but they do not manifest because that is the difference between the different manifestations of God. And the devotees of the personal form receive the help of divine support. Now, this divine support is what grace is. We need that divine support for us to continue with our sadhana. And this is available when you do the personal form of God. Okay, in impersonal form, that grace aspect is missing. You will still keep on progressing through your self-effort because we are ultimately the fragments of God, right? And we do have a lot of ability with regards to our willpower and what we want to do, but then the grace aspect will not come in that. This is the key difference here. Now let's get in a little deeper into this concept by I'll pose a question here. Pose a question, but I'll give you a couple. So here you see monkey, right? Monkey's child. So in this case, what happens is monkey mother and a child is clinging on to the monkey mother. The baby monkey is responsible for holding on to her mother's stomach. If you have seen a monkey mother carrying a monkey, actually it is the monkey holding on to the mother. And it's not helped by the mother at all. When the mother monkey jumps from one branch to another, the onus of clinging tightly onto the mother is upon the baby. And let's say the grip loosens, or it's, for some reason it slips, the monkey will fall down. Okay, so that is one. In Nyaya Darshan, this example is given. And on the other hand, we have a kitten, the cat. The kitten is very small and delicate, but the mother is holding on to the kitten and taking the responsibility of transporting it from one place to another, from place A to place B. So it holds it from behind the neck and it lifts it up and takes from one place to another. That is what is happening. Now, given a choice on your spiritual path, which one would you like to be? Would you like to be taken care by somebody, or do you like taking control of things yourself? Given a choice, which one would you prefer and why? And let's have a bit of a discussion on this and then we'll move forward. Yes. Okay, there is a way to actually raise your hand on Zoom as well. If you go to reactions, you can actually raise hand, but I can see you raising hands. So let's hear from you to get this going.
Okay, so I feel like I'd be like a more of a neglected person because I would learn ways to do things myself. So if someone did my homework for me, I wouldn't learn how to do it myself. So those are like the trigonomics.
No, it's a very fair point. If everybody would do the homework for me completely, I would not learn my lessons. Very true. And we'll get a little deeper into that concept as well, right? It's not like a hands-off approach completely. What does it mean with regards to your spiritual progress is what we're going to talk about. But good point. I'm glad you brought it here to see. Did you, I mean, of course, we didn't know we are enjoying at that point. That itself was a struggle. But if somebody would do job for you and you only have to cry or just order, order with calling out for request or help, would you rather be in that situation or be in a situation where you are doing stuff yourself, right? Do it yourself. Life is called a DIY project. DIY project life. Right, so it's a do-it-yourself project, but there is a grace aspect of it, and we'll try to differentiate the two because this concept should not confuse, from the bigger picture that we're going to talk about here today. Anybody else who wanted to say anything on this particular thing?
Radhe Radhe. So in practical life, I think we need to be a monkey, but on the spiritual path, we definitely need to surrender to God and let God take care of us. Not sure if that helps, but yeah, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe, that's a good point. Yeah, talk about that. Beautiful. Anybody else? So first of all, let's call out the difference. Okay, I'm going to tell you what is the perspective here. Okay, why these examples are given. These examples are given to drive home the point on these two parts. Okay, it is in Nyaya Darshan. Our Nyaya Darshan is very, very the logical, what do you call that? Logical part of it. A lot of things are explained in Nyaya Darshan through beautiful analogies. So this particular analogy is called the Markat Kishore Nyaya and Marjar Kishore Nyaya. Markat basically is the monkey and Marjar is the cat. So what it explains is, in this particular analogy, is that devotees of the formless can be compared to the baby monkey, and the devotees of the personal form can be compared to the baby kitten. Those who worship formless Brahman have the onus of progressing on the path by themselves because Brahman does not bestow grace upon them. The Jnanis also worship God as Nirgun, Nirvishesh, Nirakar have to rely entirely on self-effort for the progress. Now, self-effort, nobody is absolving us from self-effort on this path. Right? When people go to gurus and people, on the spiritual path, they expect that they are going to put their hand on your head and you will become some magic is going to happen and things will get solved. That's not the idea at all. Okay. Basically, from a spiritual standpoint, you put one effort, okay, and God puts 10 efforts for you. That is the concept of grace. Not that you don't do anything, just wait, I'll do everything for you. No. If that was the case, then he would not subject us to any trial and tribulations at all. Those trials and tribulations come in our way for our growth only. Those are the lessons given to us. But when we start working on it, right, that's when the grace aspect starts intervening as well. I'll tell you the grace aspect. It's like the harder I work, the luckier I get, it says, right? And there's another saying, God helps those who help themselves. So to Hugh's point, it doesn't mean that nothing do it yourself. You do it yourself, okay? You work on yourself. But for this particular aspect, when it comes to crossing over the material ocean or the material energy of God, you need His grace. You cannot conquer it with your self-effort alone. It's as simple as that. It's one of His energies. If you could defeat God's energies by your self-effort, then it is as good as defeating God itself. Okay, if our self-effort was good enough to overcome God, then basically that means we can conquer God by our effort alone, which our scripture says not possible. Saritaji, you had raised your hand. Any question? Please go ahead. Radhe Radhe Sharmiji.
Muted. Okay. Can you hear me fine?
Mhm.
Yes. So I was wondering, like in the spiritual path, can it be a combination of both? Because in the beginning, you may want God to hold you, and then as you progress, you can be like the baby monkey and cling to God at the same time. I mean,
Yeah. It will be combination of both.
yeah.
Then when you eventually start progressing, right, the nirashrit aspect starts increasing drastically. Drastically means drastically. You start giving up the support of things around you in your mind very quickly. Okay, because that has to happen. That example of Draupadi. Draupadi was like a monkey baby to begin with. It happened fairly quickly. How? She looked at her husbands to bail her out. When Dushasan was pulling her sari, she looked at her husbands because she was the wife of the best archer and the most powerful people like Arjun and Bhim in the world, right? She looked at them, right? So they said they hung their head down that we sorry, we can't do anything. Then did she become a monk, the cat kitten at that point? She did not. Then she looks at the elders around. Okay, I have the Hare Kripacharya, Bhishma Pitama, all the elders, and their daughter-in-law is being humiliated publicly there. Are they going to do anything about it? They also hung their heads. No, we can't do anything. Okay, so she's still being a monkey baby at this point. Okay. Third thing, what he did was she still did not become a kitten. She was one of the Panchakanyas. She had a lot of strength. What she did was she just tried to hold on to her own strength to, ward off Dushasan. Now, Dushasan had the strength of 100 elephants. Now, let's say Draupadi had equal strength, then the cloth would not have had so much of strength, right? The cloth would have fallen apart. That also didn't work. And then at that point, she just said, okay, wow, Dwarkadhish Vasudev. And then she raised her hand. And then when she became the kitten at that point, of course, the avatar happened. So in spiritual path, a devotee starts to appreciate that, with Swabal, Janbal, and people, Dhanbal, nothing can happen. End of the day, you have to rely on God's grace to proceed, progress beyond a point. And then you start becoming Nirashari. These false securities that we have created in our head, that this is my relative, he's going to help me, this is my friend, this is my kid, this is my own money, my own protection, my own insurance. You start having a realization, all of them is useless. It can be snatched away like this. And finally, you have to rely on God's grace to progress. So there are three kinds of devotee. The first one, they use God to get world. When we go to mandirs and temples and do mannats, and yes, Hugh, we're going to come back to you. I can see your hand raised. So next is Sarita, and then we'll come to you as well. We go in an order. So the first one is the ones that use God to attain world. I need this, I need that, but God is just a means. The second one is they use the world to get God. Okay, that includes, okay, whatever they have in the world, they start offering it to God, but then they're not able to let go of their own thing that I can attain God on my own. Okay, that pride remains. and their efforts continue because they don't rely on, basically, they call God as Ishvara, impersonal, and they think by their own practices alone will suffice to reach God. The third one are the smartest ones who have cracked it. They say the means is God and the end is also God. So they attain God, but they rely on God's grace to attain God. That doesn't mean they stop working on themselves. They continue to work on themselves, but they rely that for them to cross over Maya, they would need God's grace. That thing is firmly entrenched in there, that knowledge is entrenched in their mind. So yes, you continue to work on yourself. That doesn't mean that problem God will solve for you or anything bad will not happen to you in life. Still working on yourself. You work on your defects like anger, greed, envy, forgiveness, all that stuff we continue to work on. But when God's grace start intervening, the progress is exponential at that point. That is what a devotee understands. So that is typically how it goes.
Thank
I
you
hope it
very much, Radhe Radhe. It really helps me understand this whole concept. Thank you.
Yes, Sarita ji.
Radhe Radhe. Nitin ji, you explained it so nicely. I just wanted, most of my points have been already covered. I just wanted to add that this is about complete surrender. And we just need to understand that we are surrendering to the best of the guru and the best of the parents or guide. So when we are traversing terrains that we do not know or haven't been exposed to earlier, this is the best support you can get. So we have to keep aside our pride or ahankara and surrender completely for our own good, because we will get the best of the guidance. Yeah, thank you so much. And another thing, it will remove the tension and the fears that we might be carrying with us, because once God takes your responsibility, you will have nothing to fear. So in that way also, it keeps your mind at peace. Thank you so much. Radhe Radhe.
Summed it up very nicely and you hit the nail on the head. Thank you so much, Sarita ji. Yes, Hugh, you wanted to add something or ask something?
So I just wanted to say my mom is yelling at me and stuff, so I gotta go. I'll see you in the afterlife, mashallah.
All right. Thank you for letting us know. Yes, Vijay ji.
I love you.
Bye. Yes, Vijay ji.
Radhe Radhe. Yeah. So I actually am not sure whether we should have this big distinction between form and formless, because God actually is both form and formless. That is already established, firstly. Secondly, I would say 99.9999% both form and formless is exactly the same. And we need the grace of God even on the path of Gyan. If we don't have the grace of God, we cannot even proceed on the path of Gyan. That is my conviction. I may be wrong, but so God's grace is needed on both the paths. So both the paths are nearly the same. It's that minor distinction which is there at the end. So that, I think that is the only thing. But that's my understanding. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe, yeah. Yeah. There's a bit of a, see, Arjun has devoted one full shloka, right, in Bhagavad Gita to this, asking this question, and Lord Krishna has devoted an answer to this as well. That means there is a difference. There is a difference in the sense that fundamentally the way you approach your spirituality, it will make a difference in that sense. Because as you will see, I'll call out the differences between all three parts in one tabular format so that it makes more sense, but you'll be able to appreciate it more, I'm sure, around it. But yes, grace is needed regardless, because without grace, nothing can happen, right? And Ishwar Paridhanat, even in Patanjali Yoga Sutra, and in order to attract grace, now the next question is, what is this grace you keep on talking about, right? How do we get grace? Well, of course, there's a principle around it. God's grace is not whimsical. He follows a certain principle to bestow his grace. So now you will say that, does it mean we don't have God's grace? Of course we have. We have the regular grace. Everybody has it, right? You are getting air, water, these faculties working, and so many things that are going for us. When we are sleeping, who's running our body? We have no clue who we are when we are sleeping. He's still running our body. So yes, regular grace is available to all of us. But the special grace of God is reserved for people who do the Sharanagati, surrender, okay, who rely on him. See, it's like mother only. Think of it. When we were kids, mother would take care of all the needs. What did we have to do? Cry. Did we say, I'm a scholar, I'm a scriptural, I know all the mantras, and mother will say, who cares? You cry and mother helps. It's very simple principle. But as we start growing up and we say, okay, I can do this myself, I can, mother starts taking a back seat. And there fine. And then there comes a stage where you say, mother, I know it better. Okay. Mother will completely take a back seat at that point. Same thing happens with God also. Now we have become so sophisticated in our mind, and so much of pride has swelled, our ego takes us for a trip. And God says, all right, I'll take a back seat. Now you have become big. You again need to become like a child. And then again, my grace will start coming. Because I'm happy to take care of you. But our problem is that we want to carry the burden on our head. Somehow our conditioned state compels us to do that. It's like a lady was there who used to go to Thakurji's mandir every day. Okay, she would carry a big bundle of woods, and on her way back, she would go to that temple every day. Every day she would go. And on one of the days, while she was passing by, the entire log, the stack of logs fell down from her head. It fell down from her head, and now she's trying to pick it up and all. But Thakurji was there in the temple. He said, okay, this lady, today she has not come to my temple. Let me go pay her a visit. Okay, because she's stuck right now. So he comes to that lady and he said, ma'am, how may I can help you basically? How can I help you? And the help, she looks at Thakurji, okay, he's the same guy I used to go to temple. He has come and visited me today. So guess what she asked? He said, can you put the logs back on my head? Okay, and that's what she asks him. So our condition is also pretty much the same. We want to carry our troubles, right? We are not able to let go of it, that, we don't really need to. God is saying, you give me your responsibility. I'm happy to carry the burden for you, your burden for you. But we say, no, 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 my burden belongs to me and I want to carry it. But I don't know, it gives us, that's our conditioning that needs to be reversed essentially. So that is the whole thing.
Radhe Radhe, everybody. I have a question. That just came from the story Nitinji just narrated.
Sure.
When God shows up to help her, I mean, technically, is she not supposed to do her job? Carry the load of those logs and sell them or whatever her business is. I mean, you do your job and then you leave it to God, but you can't say, okay, I'm not going in doing anything.
She's supposed to do her job. Let's go a little more deeper now. Yes, sure. She has to do her job. Why do we do our job? Why do we do Karam Yog? Karam Yog, does Karam Yog mean that we have to fix that code or take care of responsibility and that's the end to it? No, that is a means to a bigger end. That's a means to reach God, to have his darshan and ask for, basically going past this material realm itself. Basically to get rid of all the burden that we have on our head. That is the end goal. That is why we do our job, right? When Lord Krishna is telling Arjun, do your duty. So what will happen when you will do your duty with the science of work, which is Karam Yoga, it will bring you close to God. But when you're close to God, then you say, no, I want to do my job. You know what? I have to finish off my job here at material earth, because we are so hung up in our day-to-day stuff and the karma that we perform, bonding karma that we perform, that we think that is all there is for the life is. So even when we go to God, we ask for things, thinking that material world is my ultimate thing that I have to take care of. We are nobody, right? We think so point here is, I mean, of course, it's a story, but then when you've gotten darshan of God, do you really want to carry the burden after that as well? Is the question.
That's true. Then you should ask for laddu, not candy. But the basically
what is candy for her? Her intellect.
Meaning not the small things. Laddu is the main thing. Like ask for more important things. So basically, you give up the pride of what do you call doing the job, that okay, I'm doing it, but and then surrender. But when you have God in front of you, then you ask for really things that matter, like the spiritual things. That is what you are trying to emphasize, right?
Exactly. And second thing is that we think that life is a problem solution continuum. We have a problem, we'll get a solution, another problem, solution, and that is, if we find a solution, we are happy. If we continue to have a problem, we are not happy. No, that problem is there for a reason, and the goal is to purify yourself and reach God. Now, if you've already reached God, she's asking to solve her immediate problem, right? Mindset is like solve the problem. All right, problem is solved.
Too much stuck in material world, yeah.
True. Her problem is already solved. God is there now. Why would God give his own darshan to you? And I give her a blank.
I have another question, Nitinji. How frequently is your session? Twice a week?
No, it's every day. Okay, it goes from Sunday evening to Thursday evening US time, and Monday to Friday India time. This time, today's Monday morning, it will continue through till Friday. Every day it
So
happens.
for us, it is at 9 o'clock every day, Monday through Friday.
9 o'clock Central. Which location are you in, Shwetaji?
I'm in Houston, so it will be Central.
It will be 9 p.m. for you. Yeah. I take it from Dallas only. Right now I'm in India, so I'm taking from here. So
Okay. So it will be Central time in US, Monday through
yes,
Friday.
Monday to Friday.
Oh, wonderful. I really enjoy
Sunday,
your session.
Sunday to Thursday, sorry.
Monday
Sunday,
to Thursday. I see.
Thursday,
Okay.
Thursday in India, Monday through Friday. Sorry, Sunday to Thursday in US, Monday through Friday in India.
Oh,
See, it's
I
like,
see. Okay. Wonderful. Yeah.
so the thing is, life is not a continuum of problems and solutions. We think our problem gets fixed. That is all we can think about, immediate thing. No, there's a bigger game. Problem gets fixed, also what? That's fine. Okay, you got the job you wanted, or you fix the problem that you were going through, or the challenge in life, personal challenge in life that you were going through. Fine, but what was the ultimate game? What is the ultimate game? Are you thinking, are you satisfied, happy in life because your immediate problem got solved? No, there's a bigger thing that you have to. The biggest problem we all of us is we are under the Maya at this point, and none of us have an immunity to these three kind of problems, right? Adi Devik, Adi Bhautik, and Adhyatmik. So the permanent solution of all these problems is to derive God's grace and then go beyond Maya itself. Come back as a free man. Why come as a bonded labor always, where we have to carry the bag of our karmas all the times? Right now, we are a bonded labor. We are actually carrying the burden of our karmas lifetime after lifetime. So much of prarabdha to deal with, and infinite lifetimes that would take to exhaust it if we were to simply think it that way. We have to come back to this world and take care of all that. Instead, become Sharanagat, then tap into the grace aspect of it. In fact, in Bhagavad Gita also, Lord Krishna, towards the end, he says that, Sarv Dharmam Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam. He said dharma and all that is fine. He's given the whole series on dharma throughout Bhagavad Gita. This yoga, karam yoga, gyan yoga, dhyan yoga, all that stuff, your duty, all the kind of things. Finally, he says, give up all the things and simply surrender to me. That exceeds all the dharma. And then what will happen? I'm going to sarva papebhyo mokshasi. Basically, I'm going to take all the stockpile of your past karmas, all the ocean, and burn it off for you. So that is his mercy. So, and even in Bhagavad Gita, Arjun is telling Lord Krishna, Tat prasadat param, basically with your grace, now I've understood this knowledge. He's not saying by my effort. Okay, you are telling me this knowledge and I am intellectually very, very solid and I have understood it now. And he said, no, with your grace. So when we are reading Bhagavad Gita, if some concept is clicking to you, you should thank God for that. Because he sits in your buddhi and make that concept stick. We cannot do that on our own. Everything happens with his grace. Right? He sits in our mind and he sits in our buddhi. And that concept will stick. So if something starts clicking to you, it means God's grace has started intervening. We cannot do that anything with our self-effort. And at the same time, we should not take seva from God. See, when the problems come and we say, God, take care of it. Can you do that? I've been doing your bhakti for so many years, secretly hoping that God will do. Actually, if you think about this concept, asking from God, we are asking for God's seva. Can you serve me? Instead, our attitude would be, how can I serve you? See, when Swamiji was traveling here in COVID times, right? I'm just giving you a very small example, how a devotee should approach everything in life. When he was traveling, he's not saying, God, okay, I'm doing your job, you take care of me. I don't know. End of the day, I'm Sharanagat to you and I'm doing your job. Everything that I do every day is for your sake only. So why don't you take care of me? He won't do that. He will still do what is there in his control. Okay, he took all the precautions. He didn't eat for, I think, 1 or 2 days so that he doesn't have to. He can minimize his exposure going to, restrooms and stuff like that during COVID times. He wore the mask. Then he had that thing to clear his throat from periodically, mouthwash he was telling. So he was exercising his due diligence with a free mind. But I will do my bit. I will not going to ask God to take seva. So we should tap into His grace for good things. Not that, okay, I'm your devotee, you take care of me. No, if you want to, take me through some trouble, so be it. I will just do my bit and leave rest to you. That is the nice attitude to have around these situations as well. Not looking for taking seva from our God and Guru. It's just like, how can I serve you? And you know what is best for me. That attitude has to be cultivated and deepened over time. Yes, Sam? Samji? Or Sam? Had raised hand. Okay, maybe not. Okay, so that is the concept. By the way, I had planned to, but it will take a discussion of its own. So maybe tomorrow's session, where we are going to talk about, I will talk about the paths comparison. So basically, we will go through line by line the paths, and then what all is there in each path. Okay, so this is I'm going to create a table and talk about it tomorrow, not today, because it's a discussion on its own, and it will bring in the difference between each one of these paths and what you can expect on it. Okay, so we will put it all together in one snapshot and take this discussion a little further. And I want to talk a little bit more about bhakti, because Vijayji brought it. They are 99% the same. So Vijayji, if you are there, look out for the story that I'm going to tell tomorrow, to see if they're essentially the same, or the difference starts magnifying over time, is what we will tackle very systematically through scriptural references and through a beautiful story that we're going to talk about. But I see a couple of hands. Let's take those hands for now. So yes, this is the first thing. Okay, I'm going to talk about tomorrow, and there are more things. All three aspects, if you look at it, Satchit Anand is there. Okay, God Satchit Anand resides in all of three. However, as we start going along, now the discussion, interesting things start happening. Brahman, entry criteria. What is the entry criteria for a Gyan Yogi? Does anybody know that? Basically, making an eligibility on this path. You say, I'm a Gyani. What is the eligibility for you to even enter that path in the age of Kali? Is it an easy entry criteria? If you think it is, everybody can read scriptures on their own and everybody can do that. That is fine, but that is not Gyan Yoga. Okay, you have not even started with the elementary ABC of it. One needs to be in the advanced stage of renunciation for you to even pursue this path. Because when you are embodied soul, like Lord Krishna in this particular shloka is talking, that for this embodied soul, it's exceedingly difficult. That means that you first need to have this firm belief, not even belief, realization that you're not this body. When you are situated in I, like Ramana Maharshi Ji was, then you are eligible for Gyan Path. Otherwise, you don't even have an eligibility for this. And in Paramatma, it's a little easier in the sense that you continue to work on yourself, the union of soul with super soul, and taking yourself in deep meditative state around that. So it's relatively easier, but not easy at all. With bhakti, is there any entry criteria at all? No, everybody is eligible. Floodgates are open. Everybody is eligible. And people say that bhakti path is for dim intellect, people with dim intellect, okay, who just want to do Radhe Govind in Kirtan and stuff like that. Actually, that is the most smartest thing. As you will go deeper, all the intellectual gymnastics, all the knowledge that we are trying to gain here should eventually lead you to that state where you are doing it with faith and devotion and not just doing it mechanically. So all that stuff that we are doing, knowledge, they say the samajh ki had hai gyan or gyan ki had hai prem. So the true gyan is the gyan that leads to develop love for God. Otherwise, that gyan has defects. That is the whole thing. And Kabir Das ji also had said that Pothi pad pad jag mua pandit bhay na koi, dhai akshar prem ke pade so pandit hoye. The whole process that we are following right now is to lead ourselves to a state where we relish in doing Radhe Govind Govind Radhe. That is the key. But we'll go more deeper. It's a discussion in itself. I have prepared a complete chart around this. What all other things are there, the difference in each path and what for us. So we will have a good discussion on that tomorrow. But for today, any questions that you may have, because we have spoken a lot about this concept of Markat Kishore Nyaya, Marjar Kishore Nyaya. And if you have any questions around that. Yes, Sam? Yes, Aarti ji?
राधे राधे आरती जी।
हरिओम, राधे राधे, राधे राधे नितिन जी। नितिन जी, मैं बहुत बेसिक क्वेश्चन पूछूंगी। जैसे आपने कहा कि वो कल्टीवेट करनी पड़ती है हैबिट, गॉड से बिना किसी इच्छा से प्रेम करें, ठीक है, और जैसे वो चाहें चलाएं। पर हम कर कैसे सकते हैं ये चीज़? क्योंकि देखिए हमारा स्वभाव ही ऐसा होता है कि हम किसी से प्यार करते हैं क्योंकि उससे कुछ इच्छा ही होती है। हमें डायरेक्ट तो बिना किसी रीज़न के प्यार कैसे कर पाएंगे? और वो भी चलिए प्रभु से आप कहते हैं ना, तो हम प्रभु को प्रत्यक्ष रूप से तो कभी देख ही नहीं पाए हैं। जो हैं उनकी स्टोरीज़ हैं, उनकी लीलाज हैं, और वो भी जो हो चुकी हैं। हम प्रेजेंट रूप में भी उन्हें ऐसा नहीं, खाली ऐसे नाट्यांतर रूप में देखते हैं तो वो भी हम एक्टर्स को पसंद करने लग जाते हैं, थ्रू कैरेक्टर ऑफ कोर्स। बट अभी मेरा आपसे ये प्रश्न है कि आप क्यों कर रहे हैं फिर ये भगवत गीता? क्या आपको कुछ नहीं चाहिए प्रभु से?
चाहिए, हमने कहा नहीं कि चाहत अपनी छोड़ दें. वी आर नॉट सेइंग गिव अप योर डिजायर. व्हाट वी आर सेइंग इज यू स्टार्ट डिजायरिंग द बेटर थिंग. See, I'll give you a punchline on this, okay? There is a saying in English, if you can't beat them, join them. Okay? Now, in this case, and if you can't convince them, confuse them. There is another one, by the way. I'll not get into that. But when you can't beat it, join it. So, Maya, we cannot beat it on our self-effort alone, right? Desires will come.
Yeah.
That selfishness is there, right? That is there. You join Maya. Okay, I'm going to continue to have desire, I'm going to continue to have selfishness, but then I'll do it in the right direction. Okay, I will use that desire for God. Now, why am I doing, you're asking it, right? Of course, I'm desiring God. I'm desiring more and more of his grace because I'm becoming greedy. I know the benefit or the pleasure, or how it helps you in life. That realization, once it sinks in, that argument itself gets settled by itself. Now, why would I have to take that, an additional deliverable in my life? We are all tired. We all need a sip of coffee and relax, back at our home. But when you realize you get much more than that, when you do, tap into God or try to serve God in the whatever limited capacities you have, what you get in return itself is so intoxicating that you start desiring more and more of it, and it's a good desire in that case. And RTG, we have to solidify this, understand that our being selfish is not bad, but if we understand where our true self-interest gets fulfilled, then also the job is done, because you are considering yourself as this body, and you are going after your selfishness related to this body and bodily relatives and bodily associates. When you start understanding your soul, this knowledge that we talk about, you'll understand your swarth will get siddh, fulfilled by your true sambandhi, which is God. He is the only eternal relative we have, lifetime after lifetime, even when we became monkey or a kitten or whatever. Okay. So then you start aligning your desires and your self-interest to the right direction. That's all it is. Spirituality is nothing big. I hope I answered part of your question. We are joining Maya. We said, all right, I'm going to continue to desire, but I'm going to desire not you, but your boss.
Super. Thank you so much.
No worries.
Radhe. Yeah, I just want to make a couple of comments. I think I used to always wonder, like, why the demons do tapas for so many years and then just ask for silly things, and even when they see the God. And I think your story kind of told, like, because they're conditioned that way, and that's why you're doing it. So the second thing is, I think that the question just was asked, like, how do we achieve, how do we go beyond the Maya? I think Swamiji says, like, hello, sorry. Yeah, quickly. I mean, I think that Swamiji says, like, when you go to a dog owner, you have to take care, reach the owner, right? Not to get rid of the dog.
Beautiful story.
So you have to pray to the God to really give you the strength, and then not try and say, like, I'm trying to make my own efforts.
Very true. Very true. So rather than going to our Pati, we have to go to Mayapati. Okay. Jagatpati. So he's the owner of this world. We better take his refuge as opposed to trying to. And in fact, even if we go technically, in Gyan Marg, through your self-effort, you can conquer Maya to a certain extent. God has given us abilities, of course. And it is said there are two components to Maya, the Vidya Maya and the Avidya Maya. Avidya Maya aspect of God we can conquer through our self-effort. But Vidya Maya, you still have to get Sharanagat to God, to draw on His grace and then be able to, you will not be able to get rid of pride. I'm doing it, I'm doing that, right? If you've seen some of the big Gyanis, they take pride in reciting shlokas itself. Vishnu Sahasranama, this, that, they will recite as if they're doing the biggest thing in the world, right? That pride you cannot take away. There's a beautiful story in Bhagavatam as well, where Lord Krishna and Balaram, they went to, these big Shastris, they have to have some food. And they say, hey, stop, we are doing our Vishnu Sahasranama or some big chantings they were doing. They forgot the purpose they're doing those chantings so that they can fulfill God, right? Or basically serve God. They forgot that part and they continued with their recitations. And then but anyway, this beautiful story, and their wives came and fed them, and then the whole month this thing was concluded. So point here is we do things, but then we need God's grace for it to fructify. End of the day, and conquering Maya is like a huge undertaking. You cannot do that. It's like you have taken on a job of defeating God on your self-effort. Very, very tricky. Big yogis can fall. And Lord basically knows how to get a hack. Nobody can take a boon, like you said, big demons, they will do tapasya, austerities, and finally they end asking for powers and ruling for a bit, and finally God finds a hack to that as well, right? In case of, we know that Hiranyakashyap, what happened? He said, I should not be killed in day or night, inside or outside, by any shastra weapon or anything, neither by a human nor by an animal. So he thought he's got the perfect boon and perfect hack in life to rule the world forever. What did God do? He came as nursing avatar. He said, okay, let me do a checklist of your conditions. Is it day or night? It was on that transition period. Are you inside or outside? He was at the door. You neither inside. Are you on bhumi or sky? No, he was on the lap. Are you getting killed by a shastra? It was nails. Or is it human or animals? It was both. So God has a hack for everything, right? Brahmaji keeps on giving wounds, and then Vishnu and Lord has to come and do the cleanup job. So the point here is, because of our conditioning, we keep on asking for these things, silly things. But now that we have a knowledge, and if we can see God one day, hopefully, we can ask for the right thing. That is the whole idea of this path of devotion. Yes, a few hands are raised as well. I see Arunji.
There's a comment from Smita ji. Can I read it quickly?
Sure.
Yeah, she says, love for love's sake. Why we keep pets? We are not getting anything from them, but we love. Start loving God and we'll get the answer for Arti's G's question.
Beautiful, very true. See, love is a natural consequence of understanding the value of something. The day you will understand the value of something, love will be natural. Doesn't it happen in real world as well? It does happen that way. It's just that we are not able to understand the value of God, that He is our true, Swarth Siddhi, the Swarth that we've been seeking for. He is the one who can do it in a snap of a moment. We don't understand that. हम जानते हैं, मानते नहीं. The day we will have that realization, the tears will start coming down, and love, you don't even have to do love. It will come naturally to you, right? And that is the whole idea. So knowledge is very important in that sense, to develop love. Keep understanding how He's been serving us like a selfless, Father for so long, and how since time eternity He's been waiting, with His open arms to embrace us, and how much He tolerates us despite our imperfections, and how much hope He has from us. All those things, and you keep repeating that knowledge, love will automatically come, rather than thinking my next problem should get solved. That is very short, myopic thinking around this whole thing. Yes, Arun, Arun has turned on his camera.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe. Just to understand better, right? So the thing we were talking about, particularly about what RTG was mentioning. So there are different stages here, right? So the first stage is we are selfish, or we are seeking happiness in the world, and then the next stage after that is you are desiring God, but again, you're doing it because there's some benefit you see in return. Like as we see, like that is a second stage, right? Basically, I think most of us are not at that stage where we are selflessly loving God, because if we were doing that, we would really not be stuck in this situation. So I think most of us are still having selfish love towards God, meaning like we do it, we desire it, but if say we were doing a lot of bhakti and we are trying to desire God, but in return we were getting a lot of troubles, then half the people will break down because of that itself. So that's like a test, right? So the thing is, I'm not sure how the progress from selfish love towards God versus selfless love towards God can happen realistically, or what is going to fill that bridge. But I think, yeah, that's the difficult part, because we can read from scriptures and we can understand that, God is our eternal and all that. But still that aspect of, I'm doing this. Yeah, okay, it gives me bliss. Fine.
True.
But suppose it didn't give you bliss, will you still pursue the path is the question, right?
True. Very true. See, it will see the Sakam Bhakti versus Nishkam you're talking about. First of all, when it comes to Bhakti, it has to give bliss. Okay, it's not like a lottery that you're hitting and you're hoping. No, it eventually it has to give you bliss. In Narad Bhakti Darshan, it is said it is like the praman you have in food. The salt, when you put salt in food, it will tell you how much it is. Similarly, Bhakti will give its praman. Realization has to happen. Okay, you just have to, God may test you initially with a bit of perseverance. That is why you see most people who are devotees, they are must in their lives. Nothing matters to them, right? So they are getting something. Yes, from Sakamta to Nishkamta, that is another level, right? Then they start, this new realization starts dawning upon them, that rather than holding it for them, when they return that back to God, what they get is even more sweeter. So they are deeper realizations. It's in giving one shall get. So you need a saint, guru on the path who can open up these windows for you in your mind, and then you start realizing it, and then it takes you to another path. From one step to another. But to begin with, to RTG's question, I'm saying become selfish, but become selfish properly. We are selfish for our body, which is not going to serve any purpose. Become selfish for your soul. It's okay. Even if it is Sakam Bhakti for Krishna, it's okay. Get in there. It's a very high level of Bhakti in that case. A Sakam Bhakt of form is much higher than even a Nishkam Bhakt of Ishvara, a formless light. Okay, let's understand that part. So Sakamta is fine to begin with, and then let other things grow organically for you. But even if you limit yourself to that, is fine. You're still okay. But if you have found a guru, they will anyway tell you now, it's, you have to understand this part as well. So let it happen over a course of time. But to begin with, get with Sakamta, no worries. Become truly selfish, properly selfish.
Nitinji, I have a confusion, if you could clarify. So we talked about when we're infants, we depend totally on our mother for everything because we're not able to do anything. And then Draupadi, when Dusashan was pulling the sari, Chirharan, Krishna Bhagavan was eating, and he's noticed it, so he's couldn't swallow the food and he's just like froze. But he didn't leave to go help her because she was depending on her own abilities. So
yeah, Swabal or Janbal,
yeah, Swabal. So
That's the question.
when is it do we fully surrender, and when do we not do our efforts?
See, surrender is
So
not
a little bit of a confusion on that. So sorry for my ignorance. Thank you.
no worry. I mean, I will try to answer as best as I can. Surrender is a way of life. It's not like I surrender now and for this I will not, and then for this I will, and then this. It's a way of life. It's a state that one needs to be in. So when we are perfectly surrendered, at that time divine grace will intervene. But then that becomes a way of life. It's not like for this condition I will surrender and for this I will not, right? And God is seated within, he'll understand that. So we have to increase the proportion of our surrender, and the more surrender you have increased, the less you will be dependent on the world for your happiness and other things. The more connect you'll have with God. And God only can evaluate us. What is the percentage or the proportion of our surrender? Whether it's 5%, 10%, we can't know that. We can only look at some indications, but then God only knows. And the day we are 100% Sharanagat to him, he will manifest in front of us. That is how it goes. It's not like 90% surrendered, then you see 90% of Krishna and 10% is hidden. Only when it 100% happens, you'll see him in full. But that becomes a way of life. And there are 6 principles of surrender. How much we are able to practice it consistently will determine how quickly we can progress on this path. And we'll talk about those 6 principles in one of the sessions as well, again.
So quick question on the perseverance and then efforts part, then how does that involve? Like in the case of Draupadi, she was just trying to protect herself.
Yeah,
but,
so perseverance and efforts, I get that question. So that contradiction can be resolved with the sense that, as now look at the example of this guy, electric bulb, as Thomas Alva Edison. Now you say, is he Sharanagat, Buddhi? If the first time he failed, he should fail. He should have Sharanagat, right? God doesn't desire it. No. This is where these contradictions we have to resolve in our head. Like Swamiji has given his example only. So as you progress, you have to persevere. He talks about practice, abhyas, and sticking it out. So these dichotomies, so-called contradictions, will be resolved over time, because intuitively you will start harnessing. Okay, have you put in your best? And what is the point where you say, now it is God's will, I just have to take a back seat, let it go? You will get that feeling, and that intuition, so to say, will start getting harnessed more and more as we start purifying our mind. Okay, so we will start tapping into it more and more, where you'll know you have to stick it out, I have to go through it, and I have to let go of it, because maybe that's not God's desire around it. So that is a process. It's a bit of a process. And we have Swamiji as for our mentorship, right? For any particular situation, if we need, we can take guidance from him around it. But our own intuition will start developing as well around that particular thing, where something will tell you about time to let go of it, and something will tell you, no, grind it out.
Great. Thank you, Nitinji. Radhe Radhe.
Thank you, Radhe Radhe.
Hello, Nitinji. Good to see you. Good to know that you went to India. So missed the Vedic classes, but yeah.
We'll start with our Vedic classes after the summer vacation for Balmukund is over. Yeah, but good to see you. I saw you on camera the other day, and I'm so glad you are able to make these classes regularly now.
Okay, yeah, thank you so much. And the question is like, people is to tell me like, at least we need to go to Kasi once in our lifetime. So then I got a question like, is there any different visiting God in Vrindavan or Kasi or?
Guru Nanak Dev Ji, or I think the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he said that when you die in Kashi, you go to God's abode, and he challenged that, and he went to the place where people would say, if you die there, it was close to Kashi, you go to hell. He went there and left his ear. So these are more at a religious level. It's good to say, okay, my God had come here, maybe he walked this street in so many years ago, with those sentiments. But going to Kashi, or that is not a prerequisite for you to become spiritual. Okay, this is more at a religious level, your own belief, karam kand level. If you go, great, but that don't make it as an agenda of your life that you have to absolutely go there, okay, at least once, or nothing of that sort. Kashi, Kathauti, man changa to Kathauti mein Ganga. Basically, the word God is residing within you. How the sentiments you nurture, you can be doing Kashi sitting at home. And somebody might be going to Kashi every year and still not getting the benefit that you are getting from home, depending upon the sentiments you bring to your, devotion. That is more important. Going to Kashi or Vrindavan is not. If you can go there with this feeling, great. But God is not going to give you a better score that, you know what, you went to Kashi, now I'll bump up your score, spiritual score. No, nothing of that sort.
Got it. Okay, thank you so much.
Actually, we have to understand, even if you don't do any dham at all, and you're still practicing spirituality, trying to purify, work on, you will get more credit than somebody who's doing dhams every round the year, every day, and still not practicing and working on themselves. God will say, what is this going on here? So let's put it in perspective.
Got it. Okay. Thank you, Nitinji. Yeah.
Radhe Radhe.
Ashwini.
Okay. Yes. So this is again the Maharajji's song, and bhajan.
So let me announce that. Thank you, Yashini. So let me announce that for everyone. So now we are moving to devotional segment for a few minutes that we typically do at 10 or 8:30. We stretched a little bit today. But yeah, now we're moving to the devotional segment. You're welcome to stay back. The philosophical part is over, and we will continue on our discussion tomorrow on this topic. Over to you, Yashini. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Bhaiya. Yes. So this is Somiran Karle Mana, and it has 71 lines, but I will be singing from 65 to 71.
Sure.
Okay. सुमिरन कर ले मना छिन छिन राधा रमना सुमिरन कर ले मना छिन छिन राधा रमना मन भाई छवि रचना मन भाई छवि रचना मन भाई सेवा करना निज सुख तज दे मना, श्याम सुख हित भजना। प्रेम है साध्य मना, मिले प्रेम कृपा सजना। सुमिरन 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 कर ले मना, छिन छिन राधा रमना। देखो प्रेम गोपी जना, देखो प्रेम गोपी जना। विधि मांगे रज चरना, गोपी पद रज कमना। गोपी पद रज कमना, ऊधु मांगे लतन तना। जीव सुख चाहे जो मना, सोई तो है नंद नंदना। ओ हरि तो न कभु हरि तेना कभु डरना, उन्हें अपना ही मानना। हरि तेना कभु डरना, उन्हें अपना ही मानना। हरि तो कृपालु अपना, हरि तो कृपालु अपना। यह हरि श्रुति वचना, सुमिरन 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 कर ले मना। छिन छिन राधा रमना। थैंक यू। राधे राधे।
Beautiful, thank you, Dayashini. Loved it. It's a beautiful bhajan from Maharaj ji, and you sing it so well. It's so much of power. Very, very nice. Perfect for Roop Dhyan. Great. So, do we have one more hand? Manishi, you wanted to sing as well, and then we can wrap up our session for today.
So I'll just sing a few lines of this bhajan I'm learning and that I love. Nand Lal Pyare Yashoda Dulare Neno Kitare Karu Tihari Manohar Pyare Karu Tihari Manohar प्रेम पिपासा लेकर आ सुगर सलोनी छवि मन में समाई ना जप जान ना तप जान ना जप जान ना पहचान केवल आस तिहार प्यारे केवल आस तिहार आशा का बंधन टूट न जाए लगन मिलन की छूट न जाए ओ गिरधारी ओ वनवारी कृष्ण मुरारी सुनी ले दीन पुकार यारे सुनी ले दीन पुकार. Thank you. Radhe
Thank you,
Radhe.
Manishi. Thank you, Radhe Radhe. Beautiful bhajan. It's a very, very nice bhajan from Maharaji. I know we are over. Sorry, Amrutavani ji, I forgot completely. We had to wrap it up the Sunday session quickly. I've forgotten now that I'm in India, but we'll do that. But thank you, everybody, for your enthusiastic participation. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow, and thank you.